This was the scene earlier this afternoon. All officers and deputies in Kent County, they stopped at 1 o'clock, the very moment the funeral began, to flash their lights and sound their sirens for 15 seconds as a tribute to Officer Slot and his family for his service and for making the ultimate sacrifice.
The funeral procession from Resurrection Life Church to Rosedale Memorial Park spans 18 miles from Granville into Walker. And 24-hour News 8's Danny Carlson was along that route to see how the community came out to line the route in honor of Officer Slot. Danny?
So, you know, talking to a law enforcement officer today, he said seeing the outpouring of support from this community was both uplifting and powerful. And you can see from some of the video that we had earlier from just this intersection here, both the somber and yet inspiring feeling, that scene that unfolded here today. More than 300 emergency vehicles made up the procession today. Some drove hours to be here, just to be a part of this procession. Among the dozens of people, just regular people, who stood at this intersection, a few things really stood out to us. One, there was a man, he appeared to be a Boy Scout leader. He was handing out American flags to every single person on each of the four corners of this intersection. We also saw two kids, 12 and 8 years old. They made their own signs. They'd never met Officer Slot before, but the signs read that Officer Slot was a great man and that he would never be forgotten. And most noticeable was just how quiet this intersection was when the procession pulled through, showing just how respectful everyone here was for this fallen officer.
You just have to lend your support because we're here and they're out there every day, their life on the line. And he was doing his job, and the senseless act. And that's ruined, you know, 3 families' lives, and it's hurt our community.
People who are out here today say they just want to make sure that all people in law enforcement here in West Michigan who are still out working the streets for us know that they have support from this community. Live in Standale tonight, Danny Carlson, 24-hour News 8.
The loss of Officer Slot is the first for the Walker Police Department, and while many of their own attended the funeral service this afternoon, others paid their respects in their own way. 24-hour News 8's Joe LaFurgie has been at the Walker Police Department all day long to show us how. Joe?
Yeah, Brian, this is one of the ways this sign went up last night, actually, in the memory of Trevor Slot, the officer killed in the line of duty last week. And if you took a look down Remembrance just a short time ago, just within the last hour, 45 minutes, you would have seen just a long line of people for as far as the eye could see. They did not come out. They didn't complain about the chill in the air. They came, they waited, and some held signs honoring Officer Slot, and others honored his fellow officers. Some people in the crowd were spouses of police officers, people who have to deal with the possibility that the husband or wife may not come home at the end of the day. For them, the public that showed up here, the public that came with the signs and with the flags, well, that was greatly appreciated. One officer's wife told me, you just don't know what it's like to have to deal with every year at the end of the year having to take the paperwork out and plan for the potential of a funeral if you're killed in the line of duty. And then when this happened last Thursday, that all came home for all of them. So they really appreciated, the spouses of the different officers really appreciated the folks that turned out here as well today. Now, coming up at 6, there were some special ways the community and fellow officers honored Trevor Slot, and we'll have that in just about an hour. Back to you.
Okay, Joe, thank you. The Graveside service just wrapped up. People are still filing out of the cemetery after a very emotional and moving tribute to Trevor Slot. 24-hour News 8's Marley Ginter was there for the somber ceremony.
And Sue, yes, people are still out here right now, leaving the cemetery as we speak. We've been out here watching them as they filed in, and now we are seeing as all of these law enforcement officers leave the cemetery out here now. I'll step off camera just so you can get a feel of what it looks like out here now as they file out. You know, just the sheer number of people that have come out here and law enforcement agencies that are out here, that right there is moving enough. But as you watch all of these cars file by you, these patrol vehicles come through here, and you see all of the different names out here, Grand Rapids Community College, Police Academy, and all these different names as they go by, you realize just how many of his brothers and sisters have come out here to honor Officer Trevor Slot. I spoke with a wife of an Ottawa County Sheriff's deputy who came out here as well. She didn't know Officer Slot, but as so many have said, you didn't have to know him. You just read about him, you realized what a wonderful man he was, and this today coming out here brought closure, brought some sense of peace for so many people. As we were standing out here and everyone had filed in and the ceremony had started here at the cemetery, it was amazing to watch as the sun actually got brighter and started peeking through the sky out here, just so symbolic of the feeling out here as people have been gathering. Again, right now leaving the Rosedale Cemetery, of course, we'll be out here all night just watching as people have gathered here to remember a fallen hero. Back to you.
Marley Ginter, thank you for that. And if you are interested in helping Officer Trevor Slot's family, you can drop off or send a memorial donation to any Lake Michigan Credit Union branch in the name of Officer Slot.